Hello, welcome to another podcast episode. Today we're going to talk about Little Sunflower by Freddie Hubbard. We'll talk about the chords, we'll talk a little bit about the melody, and also move into voices for comping as well as improvisation, note choices. In this tune, we have fairly long stretches of time where we play on a single chord. We begin with D minor 7. We have 16 measures of this one chord. Let's take a look at the melody and see how that can inform our starting point for note collections as well as chord voicings. We start here with A in the melody, and then we get a B natural. We walk up to C, and just kind of gradually going up from A until it reaches its peak at E. And it tends to descend down before getting to the A. You get the G natural. So that tells us quite a lot about the collection of tones and maybe the mode that we might want to begin considering in this tune. So let's just by the numbers talk about how many tones we have in this melody. Oh, we know we have A, B, C, D, E, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then later on in the melody, we know that we have G as well. So that's 6 tones. So generally, we have 7 tones that we're pulling from in Western music. So what tone are we missing here? We're missing the F, at least in the melody, but it's in the chord, right? So we have D minor. Of course, in order for this to be a minor chord, it needs the F. So now, if we start on the root of the chord, and survey all of the notes in between the melody and the harmony, we have a pretty good indication that we're pulling from D Dorian. Now, when soloing, that doesn't mean we have to strictly limit ourselves to that, but that is a good starting point. And if we consider minor, we have a lot of consonances with minor given that mode. Now, if you work with this tune and you're working at improvising, I would recommend exploring triads and hearing how various triads may interact with the sound of D minor. So let's take A minor, for example. That's going to give us the 9 of the chord. E minor will also give us the 9 of the chord, but it gives us all of the tensions and none of the chord tones. So you can use that to create tension, maybe even weave back and forth between A minor and E minor. Now, of course, we have D minor triad as well. So weaving back and forth between D minor and E minor, of course, another option. And of course, you can move back and forth with any of these, any combination. Now, triads that are spaced by step will have less in common than triads that are spaced apart by a fourth or a fifth. And that's where you can get into working with what are known as hexatonic scales, 6-note scales, combining two triads. So, for example, D minor and E minor. Let's apply this to major type triads. The F major triad is actually part of our D minor 7 chord. So that's going to be pretty consonant. G major triad will give us a little more dissonance, as well as the C major triad. Again, we have two major triads that sit a whole step apart from each other, so those are nice choices to explore, G and F. But you can also mix different types of triads. For example, C major and D minor. Then, of course, we have the B diminished triad, which actually shares two chord tones with D minor 7. But we have the B in there as well. But we have also the tritone, which can have a little bit of a tension to offer us. Okay, we have another section of this tune where it goes to major. It goes to a major 7 chord with a root note that's a half step higher. So we have E flat major 7. After 4 bars, we go down to D major 7. So we want to consider the strength and maybe the power of the half step here above the D natural and then down to the D natural, but changing the chord quality from how the tune begins with D minor, but this is D major 7. I'd suggest you try out these triad pairs since we're kind of on that topic. C minor and B flat. Try that sound, as well as, of course, E flat major, G minor. And then as far as 7-note type scales, explore the Lydian mode and the Ionian mode. Similarly, we can explore that on the D major 7 down a half step. Well, let's talk briefly about chords. Here's a little bit of a concept I picked up from Vic Juris. Take a voicing that you might use, say on this tune. And consider the intervals. So perfect fifth, major third, and a perfect fifth. Now, we're not so concerned about the exact interval as we're concerned for this with the type of interval. So, for example, if move in the scale and it's a different type of fifth or a different type of third, then that's perfectly fine. We're going to try to conform to the mode. We're back to D Dorian here. So take each one of these notes up a step within the mode here. F becomes G, C becomes D, E becomes F, and B becomes C. So what that offers us is kind of a variety of sounds that we can use. Keep in mind, we are staying on this one chord for kind of lengthy periods of time. So we can hear that we still have a fifth, and then we have a minor third, and then perfect fifth again. So experiment with that, moving it over, coming up with a certain contour for your chord, and then moving it by step through the mode. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for listening to this podcast. You can support this free content by visiting our merch store, shop.fretprince.com. Take a lesson or a consultation. I've been helping folks not only with their guitar playing and their jazz playing, but also with how to release content and how to mix and master your tunes and create your own social media presence and YouTube channel. Thanks again for listening, and I do hope you enjoy your practice session today.